In this video, we're going to show you how you can perform a service order initiated from an active service contract in NAXT, Microsoft Dynamics AX for equipment dealers. Here you can see the service contract form. As you see, the agreement type is for preventative maintenance. I already have my customer assigned, and I have the start and end date specified. And as you can also see, this contract will last for 3 years. Now, if we switch to the line view, I already have some equipment added with all vital information displayed on the contract line, and I already have an invoice scheduled and connected to this contract with yearly invoicing. Now, to connect it to each equipment, you can generate service schedules. These will be the service orders performed in the future. Here you can see that AX automatically generated service schedules for the future, based on the average daily usage of the equipment. The next visit is listed as B, and it will be scheduled when the equipment reaches 200 hours of usage. Here you can see which base plan the schedule was generated from. If you right-click on a field for details, you can go to the original setup form. Over here, you can see the preset schedules which should be performed and on what principle. Furthermore, you can assign standard jobs to these service schedules. Standard jobs are service order templates. I can go to the standard job to see every information preset which will be displayed on the actual service order as well. I also have segment details, I have checklist elements which will be added to the actual service order, and I already have the estimated transactions here. I have 2 kinds of labor, 6 hours of field labor and 1 hour of travel labor, and I have an item that's needed to perform for this service. Now let's go to the Scheduled Services list page, which is a list page in AX to show collectively all of the scheduled services related to every contract and every equipment. Let's filter by the serial number of our equipment. As you can see, our next schedule should be performed soon, and it's going to be a B-type schedule. To create a service order, you just have to press Create Service Call. The system warns you if there's a scheduled service conflict, and the service call is automatically created, and furthermore the standard job is automatically added as a service segment with all its content. Click Service Segments to see every specified information on the standard job is inherited to this actual service segment. In Microsoft Dynamics AX, we call service orders service segments. Here is my item, and here are my hour estimations. Later on, the planner validates the transactions which are defaulted to this segment, so they can start the segment, meaning that the job can begin, items can be picked from the warehouse, the labor can be assigned to a technician. You can assign the labor at the Manage tab. Click the Service Scheduler, which will prompt you with a graphical interface where you can simultaneously check the availability of the technicians. Let's select Simon White. In the week view, I can see that he's available this week. To assign the task to him, I simply drag and drop the labor to his schedule. Simon will see the task in his mobile app as well. After closing and refreshing this form, you can see that the technician was automatically defaulted to both labor lines with the exact starting and ending date. Now we have to pick the items from the warehouse so the technician will have it when he travels to the job site. We have an automated process called Express Picking Journal. The journal is created after pressing Express Picking Journal, and the picking list printout is automatically generated, which can be sent out via email or directly to a printer in the warehouse. If you click the Picking Journal ID in this info log, you can immediately go to it. This is what the warehouse personnel will see, and then they can perform the picking here. They simply press Pick All and Apply. This means that the item is picked from the shop and the picking slip is generated automatically as well. This generates an automatic printout which will then be given to the technician. Now that our item is picked and packed, the technician is ready to travel to the job site and administer the job via the mobile app. The technician will always see all the tasks assigned to him. All important information is displayed here about the customer, the equipment, messages, reports, scheduling, or the actual transactions. First of all, he's going to clock in to travel labor as he has to travel to the job site. To do that, select the travel labor type and press Clock In. After he arrives and he will start working on the equipment, he will select Field Labor type and clock in again. In the mobile app, we have a mandatory checklist. If he opens it, he will see all the checks which he needs to perform on the equipment. When finished, he only has to update the results of the check. So let's assume he notices that a part of the equipment is faulty. He can make an internal note notifying the service planner that an additional segment has to be added with new parts and labor on it. On the report, the internal note can be added. In real life, this can be a really detailed message so the planner will know the exact items and which exact labor type to add on the new segment. After this, the segment finishes the job and he can update the usage information on the equipment. Finally, he clocks out from the segment so that the labor can be finalized and reviewed on the segment in AX. In the system, the planner will notice that there is a modification on the service call. If I refresh the service call form, you will see the internal note which was added by the technician. Based on this, the planner will add the new segment on the related service contract. He will specify the type of job which needs to be further performed, and then add all of the required transactions to it. Let's assume that the solenoid valve was faulty on the equipment. So the planner adds it as an extra item. This segment is independent from the original segment which is tied to the contract, so it can be posted and invoiced separately. I'm adding 2 hours of field labor as well. Now before the segment can be started, the quotation has to be created to it, so the customer can approve it. To do that, simply press Quotation button on the action pane and the service quotation is already generated with an automatic printout. To reach this quotation, we have to press Call Quotations under Related Information. Here, the planner can validate all of the details and even the transactions on the quotation. In our case, it's only 1 item and 2 hours of labor. Once it's finalized and reviewed, it can be sent to the customer via multiple options. When they send a quotation, a printout is generated again, but this is based on setup. Now once this quotation is confirmed, the segment can be started and the usual service segment process will begin. Going back to our segment form, I'm going to select the original segment. The item transaction is already posted. It was picked and packed, and the technician already registered their hours which were performed at the job site. By clicking Segment Transactions, the planner can finalize and review all of the transactions on the segment. As you can see, only the parts transaction is visible because every labor transaction has to be reviewed under parts and labor entered at that time. After selecting an approval group and the proper date, they can look for the technician who performed the job and see the exact time they worked on it. These are automatically updated here from the mobile app. If they're satisfied with it, they can approve and transfer all of them. These 2 lines belong to another segment, that's why it cannot be transferred. But if you check the segment transactions again, you can see that both labor transactions are added. This means that these are posted and the segment can be finished. The status of the segment is updated and it's ready to have an invoice proposal created. The invoice proposal will include every chargeable transaction towards the customer. On the Hour tab, we see that there are 2 labor transactions. The transaction which was posted to this segment and the other one which was posted to the other segment. Simply press Post. Here you can have an automatic printing setups which will be sent via email or as a file as well. The printout is generated and every important information is displayed on it. Its transactions, partial amounts, or totals. The segment is finished, and if we go back to the scheduled services of the contract, you will see that the status was updated to work order because the work order was created and already finished. If you want to check posted transactions and financial information about the transactions, you can always come back to AX in the Project module and post the project transactions. All transactions are displayed here, which was posted in a service call. And if you check Voucher, you can check the financial details which account was debited or credited, and you can look down at the bottom for further details. If you want to check the service history of the equipment involved in the service contract, you can come back to the Equipment List page, filter for your equipment, and once you've found your equipment, under Inquiries, just press Detailed Service History. This will show you when the service needs or unit was updated, and what the status is of the segment where the equipment was involved. And this is how you can execute a planned service related to a service contract in NAXT, Microsoft Dynamics AX for equipment dealers.